used at the end of it of one of the episodes, but it's such a great tune because it's so pretentious. It's brilliant. There's a great lyric in it. I had to print it out because I just love it so much. Is there a more pretentious lyric than Indians scattered on dawn's highway bleeding? Ghosts crowd the young child's fragile eggshell mind. Ghosts crowd the young child's fragile eggshell mind. I've just looked at that so many times. I have no idea what that means. But it's from Morrison Hotel from 1917. It's The Doors with Peace Frog. Before the news, we asked for your votes on the various tunes that Harry and Dan have brought in, and I'll tell you guys, I might have to get some fresh blood because it's not been positive. I was all for Harry's choices last week. This track blows. Oh dear indeed.
In your face, Harry.
Martin in Leeds says both tracks pretty poor, I'm afraid, so I can't bring myself to vote for either.
Oh dear.
Look at that guy's actually emailed, he's texted in to say that he can't even bother to text in.
Yeah.
My vote is both tracks were terrible. Get a grip. I'll tell you, that's from Chris. I'll tell you, if you don't buck up your ideas with your second choices a bit later on, then we really are going to have to think about getting rid of you guys. Because, I mean, the whole point is, I've said you are friends and that sometimes friends can have valid musical opinions. You've already proven that that's not the case. Because I'm easily swayed by public opinion.
Yeah. Are you starting, you know, in the face of this unpopular opinion, are you starting to regret the day you ever invited us on?
I'm beginning to regret the day I ever looked at you.
Yeah.
And your stupid banana-throwing face. Now then, I also, obviously a lot of people know me as one of the great romantics. No, they do. They know me as one of the nation's great romantics, great poets, and you can see that in my work. But, but also, a lot of people don't realise this. This is a little bit of a revelation for people. I'm also one of the nation's great lovers. In the sense that, you know, I think I understand the chicks. The birds, which is one thing straight away that endears you to any chick or bird just by calling them a chick or a bird. And so I'm thinking, because last week we were trying to find out what the average Six Music listener was like, and we realised that many of them very cool, very funky, very young. Some of them still a bit older, perhaps living with their mums, maybe not yet, perhaps found the woman of their dreams. And so I'm thinking each week I will come up with a song which I think if you were going to pop it on a compilation and perhaps pop it anonymously through a letterbox, which is the best way to win a woman's heart. You follow her around, okay, but make sure that she never sees you. So if she's in a cafe, just sit about 6 tables away, just slowly watching her, in the vain hope that one day she'll notice and she'll think, you know what, that weirdo following me around, maybe I should ask him for a drink. That's the way to win a woman's heart. But ultimately, of course, you'll have to do the compilation CD or tape, and I once again stress that this is an infringement of copyright and therefore should not be done or encouraged. But however, you should in the end have to play music to seduce the ladies, and so each week I'm thinking maybe a song to seduce the ladies with, and who better than Connor Oberst, otherwise known as Bright Eyes. And this is such a beautiful tune. I'm sure you've heard it before, but it's always worth listening to again. Okay, so you work in an office and you're sort of approaching middle age, and there's a woman you work with you've had an unrequited passion for many years. She treats you as a friend, you know, she'll have a drink with you after work, but there's nothing more than that. But little does she realise that you're secretly in love with her. Just pop that as opening track on the CD you're making for her, slip it into her desk drawer, right? No note. You know, because over the course of the weeks, I'm going to slowly build up this compilation CD for you. You're going to pop it in the drawer. It's going to be 10 tracks. She's going to listen to it unexpectedly, come Valentine's Day, and she's going to be so overwhelmed by the beauty and the heart behind that album that she's just going to seek you out. Okay, she's going to seek you out, probably by looking at security surveillance footage, you know, at your workplace. But nevertheless, she will seek you out. Your eyes will meet. Your hearts will melt. So listen in each week and we will build up the most romantic songs to seduce women by compilation. Bright Eyes from one of the best albums of 2005, I'm Wide Awake It's Morning, and that was First Day of My Life. We need to put to bed the first of your musical duels because frankly I want to draw a line under it as quickly as possible. We've had nothing but negativity so far towards both of you. Hate in the case of you, Dan, yeah. But just general apathy in the case of Harry. So I think, Jude, am I right in saying that Harry's probably won that first one?
Hands down.
Hands down. So round of applause, Steve Wright style for Harry.
Yeah, whatever.
Leave me.
Whatever.
I'm really hoping that you're going to buck your ideas up a bit later on when we have your second choices. If you have disagreed so vehemently with their choices, then that's the whole reason you should go to sixmusic.co.uk / no, hang on, what's it? That can't be right. No, it must be bbc.co.uk / sixmusic. Look for my face, follow that handsome face to my webpage, and there you can find out how to register your choice for a song that we should include on the Steve Show playlist. Okay, now, each week I like to include, as you know, some hippity hop. I'm pretty down with the kids, I'm pretty funky. I could, as I said before, I'll say it again, I could bust for you right now, on the mic, every single word of Mr. Will Smith's Boom Shake the Room. I'm not going to do it because I think that's a Christmas special kind of event. But nevertheless, each week I'm going to choose a hip-hop track. And also I thought maybe this week I can perfectly fuse it with a new feature I'm thinking of, which is that it's Sunday. It's a day of religion for many people. I myself am not, but I understand there's much great music made with a religious theme. So I fused hip-hop and religion into this cracker from Kanye West.
Don't fail me now.
My hip-hop choice for this week, and I'm sure if you're a regular Six Music listener you'll have heard it before, it's Kanye West, of course, and Jesus Walks from The College Dropout, which is already 3 years old, that album. It seems so recent. A melancholy thought for a Sunday afternoon. Thanks very much. Listen, still to come, we've got Richard's stupidly difficult music quiz, which infuriated many listeners last week, and I hope it will do the same again this week. Plus, we'll be catching up with Dave. What can you say about the man, Dave? I mean, a maniac, a weirdo, a freak, almost somehow a symbol of our existential emptiness in this universe. And he is walking. It just amuses me to think about it. He's walking from Land's End to John O'Groats for no reason. As far as we can identify, no reason. He's not doing it for charity. He can't really seem to give us a decent explanation. He's just doing it. I've checked with him, and he was on, what did I say? Was it Dartmoor?
Dartmoor, I believe, yeah.
He was on Dartmoor. I mean, I don't know what it's like there. It must be freezing. Sub-zero temperatures. I imagine, knowing Dave, he's not taken a decent pair of walking shoes or a woolly coat. So, I don't know what he's doing, but we'll catch up with him later, and he'll also have a cracking music choice recommendation for us. Back to the recommendations from you boys. As I say, we'll draw a line under what happened in that previous half hour. What have you got for us? Who is it starting this week? This time?
Harry.
Is it Harry first? Okay, Harry.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be playing Colour Madre by Delta.
Right.
Delta, who were formed out of the crushed shells of 80s janglers, the Sea Urchins.
Right.
They were one of the great lost groups, really. The lead singer, James Roberts, went on to make a fine solo album last year. But this is off their first album proper, Slipping Out, Colour Madre.
Hey, what's that crowding that young child's fragile eggshell mind? It's some ghosts. What's that scattered on dawn's highway bleeding? It's some Indians. I've no idea what that means. We should obviously, I mean, I'm sure everyone's done it on a radio show in the past, but I do adore pretentious lyrics. We should open that to the listeners one week, because, oh, that's magnificent. I just have to read it again, because it's such gobbledygook. Indians scattered on dawn's highway bleeding, ghosts crowd the young child's fragile eggshell mind. Oh, beautiful. If you've just joined us, then you won't know what that means, and you should have tuned in earlier, or maybe you can listen again. I guess that function is available, right, Jude? Yeah, they can go onto the website and listen again. We are in the midst of listening to Harry's first choice in this second challenge, a musical duel with Dan. Harry, what was that tune again?
That was Colour Madre. That was Colour Madre by Delta.
And, well, we'll let it speak for itself. You do like the jingle jangle guitar, don't you?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you ever going to change that in future weeks? Because we don't want to tire listeners with that if they're not a fan.
Well, no, I'll certainly bring in some MOR drivel. Might liven things up a bit.
Thanks very much indeed. Dan, what were your thoughts?
Well, Harry says he just has. That was dreadful. That really was.
But dreadful, you
Yeah,
say?
they're dreadful. Dreadful. It was a soundtrack to waiting in a queue in a post office. It was almost like they'd taken some aspects of nice, respected artists, and produced that sludge. There was nothing to it. It was even worse than the first song.
You're in a queue in the post office waiting to get your passport updated to fly to San Francisco for the holiday of your life, hanging out with the stars.
Oh, maybe so. Well, okay, once again, of course, you don't text in yet. We'll have to hear Dan's choice first. Earlier we were trying to find out what's the most rock and roll thing that you, the listener, has done. Have you had more responses to that, Harry?
Yeah, absolutely. Chris in Huddersfield, when he was a young'un, went out on Friday night and he woke up on Sunday morning. You didn't miss here. He lost a day. He woke up on Sunday morning in a graveyard. He has no idea what happened in between, nor how he ended up asleep in a graveyard.
What was his name?
Chris in Huddersfield.
If you know Chris from Huddersfield and you know what happened during that missing day, then we'd obviously love to hear from you. Get in touch, although I suspect, you probably still won't remember yourself. 64046, Stephen with a ph.6music@bbc.co.uk if you want to get in touch. Dan, any more rock and roll text emails?
Yeah, well, Ted in Somerset's been in touch, and
who was that?
Ted, yeah, you know him,
Yeah.
West Country lad. He did, well, it was kind of similar to what I did with chucking a banana out the window, except he chucked a £1,300 bass guitar out of a 12th floor hotel window. Now, I'm not sure if that's the weight or the cost of the bass guitar. I'm hoping it's the cost.
Yeah.
But either way, it's pretty bad, and obviously both were wrecked. I don't think anyone was injured, but
You've speculated on that, of course. You don't actually know that a man could have been killed, in which case
no
we
idea.
should not be being flippant.
Yes.
Do not throw guitars or anything else out of hotel windows. Another important message from the BBC. So that was Harry's choice. Dan, you've got another one, and it better be good.
Yeah, I think, well, it'll be all over Harry's. I got slaughtered for the first choice, but I think I'm going to redeem myself now with a song by Brassy. It's called Good Times, and that sums it up perfectly well. It's a punchy little number from 2000, and I don't know if you're aware of Brassy or of their work. They never really hit the mainstream, but Muffin Spencer is the singer here, who is the sister.
One of the least rock and roll names.
Yes, Muffin. I'm not sure where that's come from, but she's the sister of John Spencer of the John Spencer's Blues Explosion.
Okay, well, I'm intrigued to hear it now. Let's hear Brassy.
Let's go for it.
I don't want to sway the vote one way or the other, but I love Dan and hate Harry. So you make up your own minds, but I really enjoyed Brassy, Good Times. But it's not up to me this week, it's up to you, the listener, to decide which of those tracks makes it into the Steve Show playlist. Interestingly, we have some listeners coming up very shortly who will be trying to persuade me to have one. Do they realise, Jude, that they're up against each other, competing with one another? I hope so. I hope they're persuasive and also seductive. I don't know why I said that, I just like saying the word seductive. Yes, so that was Brassy, that was Dan's choice. What more can you tell me about Brassy? Are they still together?
I've no idea. And they released an album in 2003, which I didn't get either.
Right.
I love that was from a 2000 album called Got It Made, which I think is brilliant, one of my favourites. And I never bothered following that up.
I often do that. I'll listen to an album and think, this is absolutely amazing. Like with Bright Eyes, I loved it.
Yeah.
Did I buy the other albums? No.
I can't explain it. I don't know why.
I'm moving forward. I like to find new artists. I've got very much a magpie mind when it comes to music. I have to say that I think that the download MP3 websites are brilliant for that, aren't they? Because they give you 12 seconds of a song, and if you can't make up your mind whether to buy the album in that time, then frankly the song's not worth buying. Okay, let's have a reminder of the tunes we've just heard. This was Harry's choice. Colour Madre from Delta. 64046 is the text number if you want to vote for that one. This is the excellent Brassy and Good Times, chosen by Dan, and 64046 again is the text number if you want to vote for that one.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Dan for bringing to my attention John Spencer's unsuccessful family members. Maybe something by Mark Lanigan's auntie next week. Cheers.
The words of a desperate man.
Sour and grapes. I don't like to see those two items put together, but I'd rather fear they're here in the studio. That's a track featured on an album called Folk Funk Flavours, which has lots of nude people on the cover. Part of the reason I bought it. But annoyingly, absolutely no. Just be honest if that's the reason. But it's one of those albums where I don't know who's knocked it together, but there's no details or information about any of the people whose tracks are included on the album. And that song's very confusingly credited to Christine Perfect, which is Christine McVie's real name, who then went on to join Fleetwood Mac. But it's actually from an album by Fleetwood Mac called Mystery to Me in 1973, before Stevie Nicks and that lot joined in and they all had rumours and all that success. And I think it's great. It's got a lovely folk funk flavour, which is exactly why I bought that album. No, it's not. I bought it because of the nudie people, alright? You've dragged it out of me.
I've got a little story about that, Steve. I was actually in a large London record store a couple of weeks ago. A couple of records I wanted to pick them up. Hadn't seen the covers. They'd both got naked women on the front. So I had to buy a third album to make it look like I wasn't a perv. So I picked up this third album, thought it was alright, didn't look at the back, got to the counter, there's a naked kid on the back of this third album.
What sort of album is that?
I don't know, but I'm not allowed back.
Rightly so. Listen, okay, so we've heard the choices of these two drones here in the studio, and I have to say the votes are coming in, and it's very, very interesting. It's neck and neck. Dan and Harry, neck and neck. You can still vote 64046 which of those tunes you preferred. I'm not surprised if you don't bother texting. I wouldn't. But of course, I've said since the beginning that this show is not just about the people in the studio. It's about the listeners at home. It's about you interacting with me, introducing music to me that perhaps I'm not familiar with, or that I've heard perhaps, but perhaps I've forgotten. It's wonderful. It's interactive. It's everything that the BBC is about. That's why I've got two listeners who have got in touch by going to the webpage and they've cast their vote. And on the line, I think we should have Simon. Are you there, Simon?
Yes, Steve, you're right.
Hello, mate. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from work, actually.
From work, really? Is this on the sly? Are you running up huge debts?
Tell me about it, yeah. I've got
Nice work.
I'm in a very cold, quiet office by myself.
In a what office?
Very cold and quiet office.
Oh, nice work, man. Are you into the compilation thing? I'm trying to put together compilations for the listeners if they're trying to seduce a workmate. Is there a workmate you've got your eye on?
This is a very male-dominated office, so I'll say no.
So, I never said it had to be a female workmate? Did I?
Well,
Yes,
but
I did.
there's-
Physical songs to seduce women by. I take that back. I do apologise, Simon. Amber is with us as well. Is Amber there?
I am, yeah.
Hello,
Hi.
alright. Say hi to Simon.
Hi, Simon.
Hello, Amber, you alright?
Yeah, you?
Not too bad.
I want to see how long they can keep this going. This is great. We're having a sort of threesome on the radio, a three-way on the radio. It's working well for us. Okay, so each of you have suggested tracks to me, and I have to say I've at this juncture. So, Simon, would you introduce your track for me, please, and tell me why you like it?
Sure, my track is it's a song called Do the Whirlwind
Okay.
by a band called Architecture in Helsinki.
Right, and do you like it for any particular reason?
It's just kind of a mad song. It's just they cram loads and loads and loads of really random instruments into this song. And it's kind of, you got organs, keyboards, tubas,